Welcome to Pick'em Pandemonium Week 4, a Brash Plus exclusive. Brash Plus, the hottest content at the highest prices. I am Josh. I'm here with Brandon. We are going through our Week 4 picks for you. Give you a little edge if you're going to put some money on the NFL this weekend. Brandon, how are you feeling about your picks this week?
Yeah, do not use my picks for betting purposes. Please don't. It's been a rough season, and I'm already off to an 0-1 start for Week 4 after the Packers got annihilated by Detroit in Lambeau.
Hey,
so
you can only go up from here, man. You can only go up.
Man, you know, I tried going with the underdog there again because I'm trying to mix it up. I'm just trying to make some bolder picks because it hasn't been working the way I've been doing it. But that one backfired on me. And of course, the favorite won that game. So let's go ahead and just let's jump right in.
We're forgetting that out. We're blacking that out of our memory and we're moving forward.
Yeah. So overall 24-25 on the season.
Oh, I don't even know what I am.
The remaining 15 games for this week, I need to go 15-0.
Well, I jumped out to a huge lead over you last week. I am now 26-23. So, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
see?
right. Good luck catching up to that.
Got the two game cushion over me, and I
good luck.
That's why I need to come back here. So, hopefully, we have some different picks. Because that's been a big problem is that we've been so similar in all of our picks, for the most part. Last week we had 3 different, and then the couple weeks before that we had the 2, but we did of course split on the Lions Packers. You got the dub there.
Well, this week is less about picking against you or even picking against anyone else. It's really I've been picking against myself this week because I don't think there's ever been a week where I've gone back and forth on so many games. I've changed at multiple games, multiple times, gone back and forth.
I
had my gut picks
once
earlier in the week, and then I changed to midweek. I updated some last night. Like I have no idea where these games are going to go. I think it's going to be a tough week, but I'm still feeling good, man. Still feeling good. So why don't we dive in, get this thing rolling?
First game on the early slate will be bright and early in the morning. It's the best part about these teams going to London and playing at Wembley will be the Atlanta Falcons and the Jacksonville Jaguars, or the London Jaguars, as they're more commonly referred to in England. That game's a 9:30 kickoff Eastern time, which is always nice just to wake up and already have a game going. Makes the time go by a lot faster to get to the 1 o'clock slate. Spread on that, the Jags -3 and the over-under at a 43.5. It's just some fun notes here. Since week 9 of last season, Trevor Lawrence has led the league in QBR, throwing outside the numbers, while Atlanta's defense ranks 26th in opponent QBR outside the numbers, allowing 11 passing touchdowns and no picks. The Falcons have covered 6 straight meetings and are 7-1 against the spread all time against the Jags. So
that's some really nifty information there, Brandon.
But there is no home field advantage, obviously, here. Even though we made the joke last year that the Jags, their home field advantage is Wembley. However, I looked it up, and they've played 9 games in England already.
Okay.
If what I was looking up was correct, I just thought 9 seemed like a lot, but then again, it's like every year they're playing in London.
Yeah.
They're 4-5.
Oh,
so
that's surprising.
They're not. They don't have much of a home field advantage in England. But yeah, I've just changed this one on the fly because when I made my picks. I made my picks actually on Monday before Monday Night Football, which I never wanted. I tried to do, but again, I'm trying to change things up a little bit because the way I was doing it was not working. And I just, just flew through it pretty much. And I picked the Falcons, no brainer. And it was really just because of how bad the Jags have played in the past 2 weeks. And I just told myself I'm out on the Jags. I'm not picking the Jags anymore. And while I was sitting here waiting to get the show started, I had some time just to kind of look at it deeper, and I was just trying to justify in my head really why I was going with the Falcons, other than the fact that I think the Jaguars stink, and I couldn't think of anything. And
Yeah.
then statistically, the Jags have them beaten every category except for like the secondary,
Yeah.
where the Falcons have them beat. So um, the Jags got a solid run defense, and that's what the Falcons do. They're not going to attack you through the air, or of course they can, but they can't rely on that as
Right.
their only way of moving the ball down the field. So I went ahead and I got the Jags getting to a 500 record in London, at 5-5 after getting the win against the 2-1 Falcons. So, and both of these teams will be sitting at 2-2 after the game, and I think that's fitting. These look
Yeah.
like two solid 2-2 teams. So there you go. Give me the
Yeah,
Jags in London.
that's something that I kind of took away from you from a conversation we had midweek, where it's like you kind of have to look at it and go, do I see which makes more sense, the Falcons at 3-1 or the
Mhm.
Jaguars at 1-3 versus both of these teams at 2-2? Like, both of these teams feel like 500 teams. The Jags, I think they have a little bit of advantage in London. Like, there's a ton of Jags fans for whatever reason there. So yeah, I like the Jags. I think they're just a better team. I think they've had a couple rough weeks. I think they'll be able to shake it off. Teams tend to play better after an embarrassing loss, and the loss last week to the Texans was nothing short of embarrassing. So I think it's a big bounce back week for the Jags. I picked them pretty easily. That's one that I did not go back and forth on.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I could see the Falcons beating the Jags because I still
Oh,
think the
sure.
Jags are poo poo. But again, just for week 4 and in a neutral field, I'm picking the Jags. My bold prediction for this one is it'll be an ugly, sloppy game. Just multiple turnovers for both teams. It seems like no team wants to take the dub, but in the end, the Jags have just a little bit more than the Falcons, and they get the win. So we both agree for the early game in London. Let's go ahead and get to what should be the real game of the week here in
Yeah.
the Miami Unbelievable Dolphins at 3-0, going upstate New York to take on them Buffalo Bills, who are sitting at 2-1. This one is currently favored in the for the Bills at -2.5, and the over/under at 53.5. And fun stats, fun notes. All 3 games between the Bills and the Dolphins last year were decided by 3 points or fewer. And quarterback Josh Allen is 9-2 in his career against the Dolphins, including the playoffs. His most wins against any team, rather, and he is a perfect 6-0 at home versus Miami. So you know what that means. Sorry, we have some more here.
There's a lot. This game, there's a lot to break down. This is the game of the week.
That's fair. The Bills have the 3rd highest pass rush win rate and had 9 sacks against the Commanders in week 3. I would not put too much into what happened against the Commanders and how that will translate against the Dolphins. That's just me. But the Dolphins, on the other hand, their offensive line ranks 12th in pass block win rate, giving up only 1 sack on the season. And the Dolphins lead the NFL with a +18 cover margin, the 2nd best mark in the NFL through 3 games in the past 7 seasons. I guess you're just making note that 2022 Jaguars were +19.5.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, copy paste,
Well,
copy paste.
It's all good.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins are 3-0 against the spread. So, with all that said, Josh, I already know we're both going in the same direction here because of our parlay that we had to settle up before we got started. I was really hoping we'd split on this one just to make it a little bit more interesting, but it looks like we're both going with the Dolphins. Really, obviously, this one could go either way. I just think the Bills are getting this Dolphins team at a really, really bad time. That's really what it boils down to. They're just, I could see these teams splitting their two meetings, but this in week 4, getting that Dolphins team, I don't give a shit where they're playing. They be playing on the goddamn moon. They're going to beat you because they are just unstoppable at the moment. So the Bills will be in for a rude awakening after a cruise control victory against the Commanders last week. This, they can't be hanging their hat on that anymore because now the real dogs come to town. So yeah, give me the Dolphins getting the win in Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one is pretty straightforward. Like, the Dolphins have looked unstoppable. We both said we'd pick the Dolphins until they lost, right? Like, they're the number 1 team in my power rankings for a reason. They are legit. And I think all they have to do, this is the key, right? Shut down Stephon Diggs. And then there's a meltdown on the sideline because Stephon Diggs has made it pretty clear that he's not super happy there in Buffalo and he wants the ball more. So you shut him down while you put up touchdown after touchdown to your receivers because nobody's slowing them down. Bills are going to have to keep up with them. They're not going to slow them down, right? And let us not forget, back in January, the wild card matchup where Skylar Thompson took this team into Buffalo and nearly beat the Bills. I mean, that game was so close. I think the Bills won at the very last second, or they barely held them off. They only won by 3 points. I remember that. So if the Bills only beat them by 3 points back in January without Tua, then I feel very comfortable picking Miami in this spot.
All right, moving right along. The real America's game of the week right here. The Denver Broncos sitting at 0-3. They're headed to Chicago to take on the 0-3 Chicago Bears. I mean, this one's just going to be a tough, hard-fought game on the gridiron. The Denver Broncos are favored by 3.5 points. The over-under 46.5. The Bears have allowed 106 points through 3 games. The Broncos are 1-8 against the spread as favored since the start of last season and 1-9 against the spread in their past 10 games in that role.
Gross.
And of course, the Broncos are coming off of that annihilation at the hands by the hand of the Miami Dolphins. So they would want nothing more than to get that nasty, disgusting, filthy taste out of their mouth and get a win in Chicago. I mean, you can't bet it, but I've been saying that I'm feeling a tie here. But you can't pick a tie. You're not allowed. Can't bet a tie. It's bullshit. You should be able to bet a tie.
Some sports book somewhere out there has the tie as an option. It's just neither of ours. So I bet it's out there somewhere, and I would totally take that bet because you're gonna get great odds on it, and it's probably gonna happen.
I just wanted to make it made crystal clear that I do see a tie here, but for the sake of our pick'ems, I have to go with the Denver Broncos because I do think the Bears are the absolute worst overall team in the league, even with the Broncos having given up 70 points last week. They have at least shown that they have the ability to move the ball down the field. So with that small minor edge, give me the Broncos getting their first win of the season, and the Bears going 0-4.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time breaking down this matchup, but I said earlier, typically you pick a team that got embarrassed the week before. I think the Broncos loss was a little more embarrassing than the Bears, so I want the Broncos as well. Both teams got embarrassed last week. Both teams are not very good. It feels like a Broncos bounce back more than a Bears bounce back. So give me the Broncos.
All right, we got a divisional matchup in the AFC North with the Baltimore Ravens at 2-1 headed to Cleveland to take on the Browns, also at 2-1. Cleveland's favored by 3 at the moment, and the over/under at 40.5. The Cleveland Browns, Josh, they have not allowed a touchdown in 2 home games this season. Outscored opponents 51-6 in Cleveland. That's impressive. The 2006 Broncos and 2000 Dolphins are the only teams this century to not allow a touchdown in their first 3 home games. Also, interesting little note there. And the Ravens are 18-3-1 against the spread as underdogs since 2018. I think these are 2 very evenly matched teams, in all honesty. And haven't seen a ton. I've seen more of the Browns for whatever reason than I have the Ravens this season. But from what I have seen between the two teams, I think the Browns got them beat on the defensive side of the ball.
Oh, without question.
And they're both scrappy teams, and it should be a tight one. I don't see a blowout in any direction. But I got the Browns getting the win at home. I can't believe I'm saying that because whatever. Browns are a weird team. They are just a weird team. Do not bet on this game. Don't put any money anywhere near this one. But for the sake of my pick'ems, I got the Browns getting to 3-1 and the Ravens going to 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna bet this game, bet the over under because either team can win this. Obviously, this is my number one game that I've been back and forth on. I think I started Browns, went Ravens, back to Browns, back to Ravens, back to Browns, back to Ravens. Ultimately, I ended up on the Ravens, and I'm glad I did because I'm glad we're on opposite sides of this.
Nice, good.
I think the big thing is I have so much PTSD from picking the Browns because every time I pick those fucking Browns, they shit the bed. They lose. So now that I'm not picking them, they're probably going to win. I jumped back and forth over and over. Yeah. You're welcome for the free win here. And if you're listening to this, hammer the Cleveland Browns. Hammer them this week because I picked against them.
Don't do it.
Did you know? But no, I think this is going to be a weird, low-scoring game. I will probably put some money on the under. The Ravens, if they didn't have so many injuries, I'd feel a lot more confident in them. But I have very little confidence in Deshaun Watson, even though he did look better last week. Ultimately, I just like the Ravens. I think they're a better coach team. They've got a better quarterback, so I'm going with them.
All right, there you have it. First disagreement. I like it. Well, technically second, but
yeah, that'll be a fun one to keep an ei on as a disagreement.
Cincinnati Bengals are headed to Nashville to take on the Titans. Both teams sitting at 1-2. Bengals are currently favored by 2.5 points. The over/under at 41. The Bengals have allowed only 5 sacks this season, their fewest through 3 games since 2018. And Cincy is seeking its 12th straight game, allowing fewer than 3 sacks. It would be its longest streak since 18 straight from 05 to 06, and second longest in franchise history. This year, the Titans secondary has allowed 275.3 passing yards per game, which is the 5th most in the league. So by that last statistic there, all signs would be pointing to this would be a good time for Burrow to get back on the right track and get that ball deep to Jamar Chase and company. Should be able to put up a good amount of points against that flimsy Titans defense and secondary, but I want to see who you're going with. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good that you're going with the Bengals in this one, right?
I am not going with the Bengals. I am going with the Tennessee Titans. It's really more of a gut pick than anything else. I just can't trust the Bengals this year. Something about this game makes it feel like too many people are high on the Bengals after their win last week, and I think too many people are low on the Titans. I don't think the Titans are very good, but I still think the Bengals are going to struggle in this one. I think Vrabel's going to scheme up some really interesting defensive looks for Burrow. Yes, their offensive line has been playing much better, but I still think you can get pressure on him. He can't move around. Like, they were, if you watch the highlights from last week, anytime he got pressure, he just had to throw it away because he can't move around in or out of the pocket. That calf is still bugging him. Until he's fully healthy, I can't really trust the Bengals. And because they're on the road this week, I like the Titans. I'm fading the public this week and going with the Titans.
Yeah, the Bengals defense looks stout.
Yes, no, the Bengals defense looks very good.
Yeah. They looked fairly good against the Rams. A really hard fought win last week. Bengals desperately need this win.
Oh, yeah.
They do not want to fall to 1-3. That will just be detrimental to their playoff hopes if they fall to 1-3, especially against a below average, in my opinion, Titans
I know what
team.
you're doing here.
You know exactly
I
where
know
I'm.
exactly what
of
you're
course,
doing here.
You know I'm going with the Titans.
Yeah,
I got the Titans also. Yeah, I got the Bengals falling to 1-3, and the Titans making it to 2-2. And because again, this is one when I was originally making my picks, all signs were pointing to Bengals, and that's why I said nah. It looks like 88% of everyone on ESPN pick'ems is going with the Bengals.
They are the better team.
This one just smelled bad.
Yeah,
it just smelled really, really bad.
This was one of those stinky lines, sticky games that you just got to go, you know what? I'm going to go against my instinct because the Bengals are the better team, better quarterback. Like, they should win this. Yeah. Hungrier dog. Like, but yeah, something about that, man. I think we're going to be on the right side of history here.
All right. Yeah, damn it. I was hoping we'd split on that one.
I'm really surprised we didn't. I'm really surprised.
Next game is the LA Rams headed to Indy, take on the Colts. Rams at 1-2, Colts at 2-1. This one has an even spread at the moment, which I imagine that'll probably stay all the way up until kickoff. The over-under at 46. The Colts defense is second in the NFL with 12 sacks, while the Rams are 27th in pass block win rate. And the Colts have lost 6 straight home games. Wow, it's an interesting little nugget there. And the LA on road games are 7-1-1 to the under since the start of last season, which looks pretty good for them. I mean, Colts had a really, I mean, this is a weird one. This is a weird game, dude. This is just a wackadoo one. And, Vegas knows something with that, even spread. I mean, I'm probably going to regret this, but I'm going with the Rams. I'm just, I'm going to be a sucker and go with the Rams here because I'm just simply going off of who, this one's just who I think's the better team. And that's the reason I'm going with the Rams. But still, for all betting purposes, I'd stay away from this one. It's just a weird one.
Yeah,
it's a weird one.
Super weird. Could go either way. I'm totally staying away from this one. Gambling wise, like, don't even trust the over under. Probably leaning under, just because I really think that the Rams O-line looked awful. Like, since he was able to get to Matt Stafford with ease last week. And the Colts have a really good pass rush. So I'm actually going to go with the Colts this week. Give me the home team. All right. Give me the home team in weird games where it's like, fuck, who do I pick? Like, that's just usually the tiebreaker for me. I could obviously see this going either way, but I think the pass rush prevails. Plus, they get Anthony Richardson back, who has looked pretty good, in my opinion. So Colts. Another disagreement.
Yeah, no, Colts.
I like it.
Yeah, Colts have 12 sacks on the season.
They ain't fucking around.
Must say. No, they aren't. And the Rams only have 5. So there you go. Yeah, that one should be a close one till the end. Happy we differ on our picks there. Mm-hmm. Moving right along. Got a little NFC South matchup for you. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 2-1. Headed to the Big Easy, Josh, take on the 2-1 Saints.
The big not so easy, as we like to call it.
Yeah, but the Saints are favored by 3, over under at 39.5. It appears the Saints will be getting back star running back Alvin Kamara. He's coming back from that suspension, and unfortunately, though, for the Saints, Derek Carr is listed as questionable, which could mean we'd see Jameis Winston taking some snaps on Sunday. Baker Mayfield's single interception is the fewest he has thrown in the first 3 games of a season in his entire career, and the 3 sacks he has taken is tied for the fewest in the first 3 games. That's pretty good. And Baker Mayfield has never gone the first 4 games of a season without throwing multiple interceptions. And, that's not that much of a shocker. And I do think he's going to throw an interception against the Saints defense in New Orleans. And New Orleans head coach Dennis Allen is 21-34-1 against the spread in his career. which is roughly 38%. Out of coaches with at least 50 games in the Super Bowl era, Allen has the worst cover percentage and is the only one below 40%. Todd Bowles is 37, 44, and 5 against the spread. Again,
both not good.
Wouldn't read into that too much to make your picks here, but yeah, I mean, again, this one was probably just I was just simply going off of emotion from the most recent game that I saw both these teams in. I mean, both had disappointing week 3s, with the Saints having that 17-point lead over the Packers and letting that slip away, and getting their first loss of the season. And the Bucks, they were never in it against the Eagles, and they couldn't move the ball to save their life. So this one, yet again another coin flip, and but I feel good going with the Saints here. I'm going with the Saints at home. I think that 2-0 start for the Bucks was a complete farce, and they're gonna be exposed yet again in the 2 consecutive weeks, and this time it'll be by the New Orleans Saints. So give me the Saints getting to 3-1 and the Bucks falling to 2-2.
Yeah, this was one that I went back and forth on a few times. My initial pick, and I think my pick for the majority of the week, was the Buccaneers. But then I really sat down and thought to myself, is Baker Mayfield going to go into New Orleans in that environment and lead his team to victory against that defense? And I think the answer is no. So I like the Saints. I like the Saints here. Once I really thought about it, and again, they feel like a 3-1 team. The Buccaneers feel like a 2-2 team at this point. So Saints.
Yeah, and the Saints have the Bucks beaten every statistical category, so that's just all the more reason to.
The problem is if you're rolling out Jameis Winston, you never know when he's going to throw 4 interceptions or something, right? And then it's like, oh well, yeah, Tampa won.
It wouldn't be a bad game for him to playing against his old team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he'd have a lot to prove.
Revenge game. I love a good revenge game.
Oh yeah, I mean. I haven't watched a lot of Saints, to be honest with you, but Derek Carr hasn't been overly impressive. So I don't think it's a huge difference between him and Jameis Winston, in all honesty.
He's less likely to give the game away than Jameis Winston. You know what I mean?
All right. We have to get to this one. Redskins, 2-1, going to Philly, taking on the 3-0 Eagles. Philly favored by 9, over under at 43. Commanders quarterback Sam Howell has been sacked a league high 19 times and has been pressured the 5th most of any QB in the NFL. And Howell's 5 interceptions are the 2nd most entering week 4. Of course, he had just a complete debacle of a game with 4 interceptions last week. While the Eagles defense is tied for 2nd in takeaways at with 8. And the stat to know would be Jalen Hurts and his 29 rushing touchdowns are the most by a quarterback in his first 50 games in NFL history. Interesting. And the Commanders are 3-6-2 against the spread, as at least 7-point underdogs under coach Ron Rivera. All 3 covers were outright wins. I'm sure one of those was last year when they beat the Eagles, who were at the time
9-0 or
7-0, not or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm a Redskins fan. I watched 90% of that game last week when they just got humiliated by the Bills. There's just no practical way of picking the Redskins against a 3-0 Philly team in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
There's just no way. You can be the biggest homer ever. There's no way you can logically justify it. So, unfortunately, I do think we're going to fall to 2-2 and the Eagles go to 4-0. My only hope is that it's not another train wreck, because I can't take a back-to-back train wreck. Certainly could happen, But I do expect them to, give the Eagles a little bit more than they gave the Bills, and show some toughness. And they had 0 sacks, I think, last week against the Bills. I think they're going to be able to bring down Jalen Hurts a few times. The problem is we can't stop quarterbacks from scrambling on us. That is one of our issues on the defensive side. Is we'll leave these wide open gaps for them, and when you're talking about a guy named Jalen Hurts, he's going to take full advantage of that. So Jalen overall should have a good day. But I think it may be closer than what most people think. I would stay away from the spread on this one. Feel comfortable betting the Eagles money line. But in the over under at 43 too, I don't know. I think this one could, for the points, it could go either way. It could be a low scoring one, could be a high scoring one. Who the hell knows? But at the end of the day, I got the Eagles getting the win and Commanders getting their second consecutive loss of the season.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it boils down to, can they keep Sam Howell upright? And that's just a question you can't really answer, unfortunately, right now. So the Eagles pass rush is legit. Sam Howell made all his mistakes when he was under pressure last week. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have any confidence in the Commanders this week. I've picked the Eagles. I wouldn't touch the spread or over under. I think you're right on that. That -9 is a little too many points in a divisional matchup, in my opinion. But I think you can, take the Eagles pretty comfortably here. I just hope, I hope for your sake it's not embarrassing, right? Because
that's just it.
It sucks to have back-to-back just blowouts. But, that's just playing the Bills and Eagles back-to-back is just tough in general. So,
yeah, I mean, because in the end, if we lose, we lose. 2-2 out of 4 games. That's sounds about right.
Yeah.
In my book, for what my anticipation was for this team entering the season. But just if it's falling apart at the seams and you see, that they're having the exact same problems in Philly they were having at home against the Bills, it'd be just devastating, because then it's just that eye opener of, oh crap, it's gonna be a long shitty season. So hopefully they can just stay competitive and have the game, have the Eagles on their heels all the way up until the end. But again, it's going to be a tall task to have them to ask for a win there in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Crazier things have happened.
True.
Let's move right along to 2 winless teams in the
other game of the
Minnesota.
Week.
Yeah, right. The Minnesota Vikings, they are taking on the Carolina Panthers. Both, as mentioned, are at 0-3. The Vikings are favored by 4 at the moment. The over-under at 46.5. And Kirk Cousins currently leads the NFL with 1,075 passing yards. And the Panthers have won 3 straight home games as home underdogs. 3-1 against the spread straight up last season. So, again, read into that what you will. Cousins, he had that one crazy game. It wasn't last week, but didn't he have like a 400-yard passing game or something in week 2
against the Panthers?
Week 2.
This year. I mean, he's been putting up crazy numbers. Yeah, no doubt. But he has to play from such a deficit because their defense is so fucking bad.
Yeah, I mean, I do think both these teams are bad, obviously. They both have a real good shot at getting that number 1 overall draft pick. And let's see, 92% of the nation on ESPN going with the Vikings. And I suppose that really just comes down to the quarterback position. More people have confidence in Cousins than they do Bryce Young. And it's been a rough start to his rookie campaign, Bryce Young. But I'm going with the fucking Panthers to get the win and bring the Vikings to 0-4. Fuck the Vikings. I think they suck, and I don't care if they have the edge at quarterback. I think their defense is poo, and I feel like this is the Panthers' first win of the season right here. They're getting the Vikings at a good time. and they're getting him at home, and it's a good opportunity for Bryce Young to finally get his first NFL win. So let me give me the Panthers at home.
It's so funny because I changed this from Panthers to Vikings last night. When I was looking at it, I almost was on the Panthers, but what I realized, and this is a terrible way to pick games, but I realized I was like, I've picked like every single home team. I got to go with someone on the road, but I really don't trust the Vikings. I can't say I trust the Panthers very much either, but I do love the Panthers
Both
defense.
0-3.
Right. I do love the Panthers defense at home. They play like shit on the road for whatever reason, but the Panthers defense at home always plays stout. I do think that they can hold the Vikings in check a little bit. And I do think that Bryce Young is going to put up some numbers against that awful Vikings defense. But in the end, I do think the Vikings are just a little bit better. I think they have the edge in terms of weapons. I mean, it's like Justin Jefferson versus DJ Chark. Okay, yeah, Jefferson's obviously better. Hawkinson is better than whoever the Hayden Hurst or whoever their tight end is. So just better quarterback, better weapons in a game that's just gonna be kind of weird and wonky. I do think it's close. I would take the Panthers +4 all day because I do think it's going to be a closer game than people are giving it credit for. And I think a lot of people are thinking, oh, this is a Vikings bounce back spot. They're going to win big. I don't think so. But at the end of the day, I just had to go with who I trust more, and I trust the Vikings more than the Panthers right now, as crazy as that sounds.
All right. No, I mean, again, that's 92%.
Literally changed it last night, though. I was on the Panthers until last night.
Everyone's extremely low on the Panthers, but I just feel like this will be that eye opener for the Vikings and their fan base of, oh shit, it's going to be one of those years.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. Could be wrong on all of these. Could be wrong in every single pick this week. We'll see. The Pittsburgh Steelers are headed to Houston to take on the Texans. Steelers at 2-1, a surprising 2-1. The Texans at 1-2. Pittsburgh favored by 3 points, and the over/under at 42.5. The Steelers defense currently tied for 5th in interceptions with 4 Pickarooskies. But the Texans rookie quarterback CJ Stroud, he has yet to throw an interception in his first 3 games of his NFL career. And Mike Tomlin is 23-4 against rookie quarterbacks. That's a pretty good stat right there. Texans coming off that big, impressive victory last week, and it was the Jags. They beat the shit out of, right?
The shit out of the Jags.
They beat the living piss out of the Jags. And then
yep.
And the Steelers, they got the Sunday night win against the Raiders, right?
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
All these, the season's flying by, Josh. It's just everything's bleeding, blending together. I'm like, which week is it now? Okay. So both teams coming off a dub, feeling pretty good. And now I know one Pittsburgh fan in particular is super excited, super confident after that win in Vegas. He thinks Kenny Pickett is on the right track, and
he was ready to bail on them after week 1. What the hell, man? Okay,
I know he's a wishy-washy son of a bitch,
no
but
kidding.
Again, I mean, it's a tough one. 83%, Josh. The nation going with the Steelers, according to ESPN. And I guess just none of people are sold on the Texans even after that impressive win against the Jaguars in Jacksonville. But I'm going with the Texans. That's right. I need some bold picks this week if I'm going to have a chance here of getting a winning week in my pick'em. So I'm going with the Texans at home, and I just think it'll remain close. Could be surprisingly high scoring when all signs are pointing to a low scoring game. But talk about a wonky one. This one's going to be wonky. This one's going to have twists and turns, many lead changes. But at the end of the day, CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, they get that win. And it might be at the end of the day due to a bad play by Mr. Kenny Pickett and a solid play by that Texans defense in front of head coach D'Amico Ryans. So yeah, give me the Texans getting to 2-2 and the Steelers falling to 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust Kenny Pickett and his tiny little hands at all. He looks like a baby doll holding the football out there. This was a tough one. I went back and forth a million times on the Browns Ravens. This was my number 2 back and forth game. I've picked the Steelers 5 times. I picked the Texans 5 times. Ultimately, I ended up on the Steelers because of that defense. I think the defense is going to find a way to confuse and fuck with CJ Stroud. I also think that they're just coming off a very emotionally high win. Like, no one was expecting them to go into Jacksonville and dominate the way they did. I don't think there's any way that they can, stay on that high. I think they're going to have to come down from that. And I think the Steelers are just a better coach team. I think they've got more veterans. I think TJ Watt's going to figure out a way to get in CJ Stroud's head. I think we'll see that first interception. And I think Mike Tomlin will keep that impressive rookie quarterback record going. So I ultimately went with the Steelers. But again, I would not be shocked at all if the Texans pull it off and beat them.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is tied number 1 with 13 sacks on the season. But yards allowed, they are 28. Yeah. So they do allow a lot of yards, but they're good at getting after the quarterback and putting them on the ground. So again, I think it's going to be a close one, but I'm happy we differ there.
Yeah, me too.
Let's go into the late slate of games, Josh, where the Vegas Raiders, coming off that loss to the Steelers, are sitting at 1-2. And they're headed to LA to take on the Chargers, also 1-2. Chargers currently favored 5-5, and the over-under is sitting at 49 points. The Chargers secondary has allowed the most passing yards this season at 1,079, and both teams are tied for the third most passing touchdowns allowed, which is 7. Justin Herbert has 213 consecutive passes without throwing an interception, which is the longest streak in Chargers history. Wow, I did not know that. And the Raiders have covered 5 of the past 6 division games. The past 4 division games have gone under the total. I mean, not much breakdown here. Give me the Raiders, or give me the Chargers. Sorry,
wow.
The Raiders suck.
Yeah, I was gonna say
they showed.
Go ahead.
They showed me that that was a slip of the tongue. Yeah, Chargers. Because I just think the Raiders are terrible. That game against Pittsburgh really just showed me that I should never, ever, ever pick the Raiders ever again, and I don't think I will. They don't know how to get their running back involved, Josh Jacobs. It's just they know how to get Devontae Adams involved. They've done a great job of that. But they can't run the ball to save their goddamn life. That could just be Josh Jacobs is just simply not good this year. It could be that their offensive line is shit, which they looked like shit against the Steelers, but could be a combination of the two. And if you can't run the ball, you can't beat anybody. So give me the Chargers getting the win at home, getting 2-2, and the Raiders falling to 1-3 where they belong. They absolutely look like a 1-3 team.
Yeah. I was gonna say that this to me is eyeball test. Raiders look like a 1-3 team. Chargers look like a 2-2 team. Dude, Justin Herbert breaks records every single week. I know you're like, wow, that's surprising, dude. Every time I see a Justin Herbert breaking record stat, because he's on track to break fucking everything. It's like, how has he not gone deeper in the playoffs? How has he not? Oh, because his coach is awful. Free Justin Herbert. Get that man either to a good team or get him a competent head coach, please. Because his team is too talented, and Justin Herbert is too talented to just waste away at Brandon Staley's incompetence. So I took the Chargers as well, but the Raiders fucking suck.
All right, let's go to Dallas, where the New England Patriots are sitting at 1-2, or taking on the Cowboys, who are sitting at 2-1. Cowboys coming off of that fun loss to the Arizona Cardinals, who
so fun.
Josh and I told you they'll punch you in the mouth. Dallas currently favored against the Pats, 6.5 points. The over-under at 43. And Dak Prescott is currently averaging a career low 6.3 yards per attempt and 5.3 air yards per attempt. The air yards is second shortest in the league behind only Colts rookie Anthony Richardson. And the Patriots offensive line ranks last in pass block win rate. That does not bode well
No.
for the New England Patriots and their fans. And they're getting an angry Dallas Cowboys team coming off that embarrassing loss to the Cardinals. Pats have no shot in hell. Just mark my words. There's no chance the Patriots go to Dallas and come out with a win. Patriots fall to 1-3. Cowboys get to 3-1 and back on the winning side of things against the Patriots. So Cowboys all day. Sorry, Patriots.
I see what you're doing, and I absolutely love it.
You like that?
Yeah, I do like that. But I'm on the same page. Like, this to me might be one of the easiest picks of the week. The Cowboys are going to be playing angry as shit. If this game was in New England, I might give the Patriots a chance if Dak Prescott throws some weird interceptions, fumbles, whatever. But in Dallas, I just don't see any world where the Cowboys don't cover the spread. I don't see it being under because I think the Cowboys are capable of putting up 35 on their own. And yeah, it's just a really tough spot for New England. I don't think, like, matchup wise, it's not the hugest thing in the world other than the Patriots' shitty O-line and the Cowboys having one of the best defensive lines in the league. But it's just a tough spot for New England. They're just going to walk into a buzzsaw. So yeah, Cowboys. Yeah, pick of the century. There is no chance the Cowboys can lose. Just keep saying it. Keep saying
no
it.
Chance. No chance in hell.
Nope.
All right, let's get into a little NFC West talk, Josh, with the Arizona Cardinals.
Finally.
1-2. They're headed to Santa Clara, is it? Take on the 49ers, 3-0. The 49ers, surprise, are heavy favorites in this one at -14, and the over-under is at 44 points. The Cardinals currently ranked 6th in rushing yards per game and 2nd in yards per rush. Christian McCaffrey has 12 straight games, including the playoffs, with a touchdown, matching Jerry Rice. That's pretty good. 1987 season for the longest streak in franchise history. And the Cardinals are 3-0 against the spread this season because those Cardinals, they will smack you in the mouth. They are not going to go down easy. In fact, I don't like that 14-point spread in 49ers favor. Stay the fuck away from that. I mean, what the hell is that? This will be a closer game, but of course I'm going with the 49ers to get to 4-0 and the Cardinals to fall at 1-3. I just think there's just way too many weapons San Francisco side, and even if it's a tight game, and towards like the end of the third quarter, they just won't be able to keep up, and when all is said and done. So yeah, give me the Niners. This was an easy one.
Yeah, I mean, easy to pick if you're betting on this one. God bless you, because that's really tough.
It's a divisional game.
It's a divisional game that just feels like too many points. But at the same time, if you fell asleep for the afternoon games and you woke up and the 49ers won by 50, you'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I don't know. I would just stay away. But yeah, the pick is the 49ers. It's pretty obvious. In fact, I've been doing the eliminator pool this year. I usually don't. I don't like survival pools, but I'm still alive, and my pick this week is the 49ers. So I just think, they're at home. There's no way they're losing this one.
There you have it. The Chiefs and Jets fans, Josh, they will be waiting all day for a Sunday night.
I don't know if the Jets fans will be.
Maybe not. They're going to be like, can we just throw the white towel in there and get this one over with? God. The Chiefs 2-1, Jets 1-2. And Kansas City currently favored by 8.5, over under 41.5. And since entering the league in 2021, Zach Wilson has a league low 34.4 QBR which is last among qualified passers. And in the same span, Pat Mahomes, he leads the NFL with a 73.4 QBR. With one passing touchdown on Sunday night, Josh, Mahomes will surpass Hall of Famer Dan Marino for the fewest career games to 200 passing touchdowns in NFL history. Impressive. Very
Very
impressive.
impressive.
They did play in
that Mahomes
different.
guy,
It was different times.
that
Different times.
Mahomes guy, he
Um,
might be the real deal. He might be. They might keep him around for a bit. He looks okay.
Yeah, they just to be fair to Dan Marino, they didn't call pass interference like they do now. There was no roughing the passer. It was a different time. So, much more difficult of a game for Dan Marino, but yes, Mahomes is pretty good. And I absolutely think he will surpass Marino on Sunday night. And there's just not real reason to get into why we're making the pick that we're making. We're both going with the Chiefs. Moving right along.
Hold on now, not so fast. Of course, I'm going with the Chiefs. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, dude, this one.
Pick of the millennium. Here it comes.
Now, I will say this. I don't touch the spread, don't touch the over under, because I could see this being a low scoring game if something weird happens, like a monsoon breaks out in New Jersey, one of those Jersey typhoons. You don't want to mess around with that, but if you're just money line betting, if you're just picking teams, there's no way in the world you pick the Jets in this spot. The Chiefs should win easily. But, their defense is good enough to slow down Mahomes. They're certainly in that realm. So I could see this being like a 17-6 type game or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a low scoring game. But yeah, the Chiefs win, period.
All right. And finally, to see off week 4 will be our Monday night matchup against the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Football Giants. Seahawks at 2-1, Giants at 1-2, and Seahawks favored ever so slightly, -1, and the over/under sitting at 47. Daniel Jones, he has been sacked 12 times over 3 games, which is tied for the 4th most in the league. Seahawks currently allowing the 2nd most passing yards this season, but they're 4th in pass rush win rate. Daniel Jones has a 1-11 career record in primetime games as a starter. Holy shit.
Yeah.
With the lone win coming in week 15 last season against yours truly, the Commanders. Jones's primetime record is the worst by any starting quarterback since the 1970 merger, minimum 10 starts. The Giants, they have lost 7 straight Monday Night Football games, going 3-4 against the spread in that span. I see what you did there, Josh. I see why you threw in those stats just to highlight how big of a win this would be for the Giants and how much they need this in order to get back on the winning side of things in Monday Night Football and primetime in general. They had some fortunate things go their way to getting that week 15 win last season. The officials, they did their part. But I don't know. I talk about ones you went back and forth on. I kept going back and forth on this one. No fucking joke. These teams are so evenly matched. I think what really made my decision for me is the scoring. One team seems to have, be pretty good at putting points on the board. The other one just simply isn't. Just put in perspective, the Jets are averaging 14 points a game. The Giants are averaging 14.3 per game, which is, of course, the bottom 2. And the Seahawks are averaging 29 points per game. And I think that's what really just made my pick for me. Because every other statistical category, they're very, very similar and very close. But yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks here. I just think they're just gonna be score more points, and that's how you win games, Josh. You score more points than your opponent. It'll be another tough day for the Giants, and I don't think there's a chance in hell You are agreeing with me on this one.
No, I'm going with the Giants only because I like
Yeah.
them. There's really not a lot of reasons to bet them. Now, I will say this in defense of the stat you just threw out there, the Seahawks have played Detroit. They played the Rams. I can't remember who their other team was that they played, but the Giants have had to go against the Cowboys, the Niners, the Cardinals, like all three pretty solid defenses. So I wouldn't look into that too much. We've also been without Saquon for that. I think this is when we shake the trend. You know, we need to win bad. We're coming off a little extra rest to get our guys healthy. Andrew Thomas is still questionable, which makes me very nervous. If he doesn't suit up, we're probably going to lose. But I'm hoping he can go. I can't pick against my guys, so I'm going with the Giants in probably my least confident pick of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I knew there was no chance in hell you were going to take the Seahawks, first of all. And I think a lot of that has to do with the two games following this Monday night matchup, because you have to go to Miami and then you got to go to Buffalo. And simply as a Giants fan, there's no way in hell I would pick them to lose against the Seahawks on Monday night, because you can't fall to 1-3 and then go to Miami and then go to Buffalo.
No, it's a must win. It's a must win game for us.
Yes, it's a must win because there's a chance there of them falling to 1-5, and then 1-5.
That's it.
The season is done ski. Right. So, I completely understand if the Redskins were in the exact same position, there's no chance I would be taking the Seahawks. Yeah. So
I think just the hungrier dog, man. We're the hungrier dog in this fight.
And, another thing is, I just seem to always year after year after year be low on the Seahawks, and they just always prove me fucking wrong. Yeah. No, totally. They're just consistently decent. And, I'm not picking against them. Not doing it.
I don't blame you.
All right. Well, let's get to our Brash Parlay.
Say make money, money, make money, money, money. Make money, money, make money, money, money.
And for our week 4 NFL Brash Parlay. That's right. I say NFL Brash Parlay because it's always going to be NFL, exclusively NFL until the NFL season is over, because that's what we do here at Brash Sports. We'll go ahead, get things kicked off with our favorite, Josh. Is that how we're going to do it? Let's do it. I went with what I was talking about earlier while we were making our picks. No chance in hell for the New England Patriots. No way they're going to Dallas and getting a win, and no way the Cowboys are losing a consecutive game to a below 500 team. So, give me the Cowboys money line at -290 as my heavy favorite.
Yeah, love that pick. And I am on the Kansas City Chiefs for my favorite. And I was just fucking with you earlier when I said, hold on a second, because I knew that we'd be getting to this point. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs are just not losing this game, period. Zach Wilson versus Patrick Mahomes. Enough said.
There you go. Well, lock those ones up. Let's get to our coin toss. I am going with the under for the America's game of the week, the Denver Broncos in Chicago taking on them Bears. Going with the under 46.5 at a -110 for my coin toss.
I like that. I am going with an under as well. Oddly enough, same amount of points, 46.5. And I've got the Vikings at the Panthers. I think the Panthers offense is underwhelming this year. And I think the Vikings are going to struggle a little bit on the road against a solid defense that plays well at home. So I've got the under 46.5, Vikings at Panthers, also at a -110.
Right on. All right. So those are going to happen. 4-0 right there, Josh.
Free money.
Here's where the money is really made, though, is our underdog picks. And I have all the confidence in the world in my underdog pick this week, because I know this team in the burgundy and gold, and I know what their weaknesses are on defense, and it's letting those quarterbacks scramble all over the place on them. And they're going up against Jalen Hurts this week. He's going to have a field day running circles around that defense. So give me Jalen Hurts 70+ rushing yards at a +270.
Yeah, hopefully it's a field day and not a Justin Fields day, if you know what I mean. No, I like that pick a lot. And the insider info from the Commanders fan, I love it, man. That is taking the knowledge that you have deep inside you and putting it to the test. Love that pick from you. My pick, I think we're both a little less confident in, but again, I just love the Dolphins this year so much. I'm low on the Bills, high on the Dolphins. Again, if Skylar Thompson can go into your house and you only win by 3, then this year I trust the Dolphins to go into their house again and win by 3. So I've got the Miami Dolphins alternate spread teased across the line at -2.5. Vegas seems to think they need points. I think the Bills need points. So Dolphins -2.5. They win by a field goal +150 as the underdog. Lock that bad boy up.
And there you have it. There are our brash pick 6. And that brings us to a total odds of plus 5,553, $6. Which is tradition here on Brash Sports. That bet will pay out $339.19. So
I feel really good about this one. I really do. This
we have to.
I've got a tingle.
We have to.
I got a tingle down in my plums.
Even if my picks are a complete and utter disaster again, we gotta hit this fucking parlay.
It's happening.
Let's do it. Come on.
Let's fucking go.
All right, buddy. Well, that's that. We'll see how everything pans out in the end, and then we'll be back here for episode 52 next week.
Yeah, tune in next week when we come back with our tails between our legs.
Absolutely. You know it. All right, brother. I'll talk to you later.
Buddy. See ya.
All right. Peace.
Peace.